Hey guys, it's Dani. Today we are doing some updates. I have some orchids to show you, some good, some not so good, but it is the way things go. Keep you up to date with some of the orchids that have bloomed recently as well. So before we start, let me tell you that my birds might be a little noisy today. They're in that period of the year where they really court each other. We'll do our best to talk in between their songs. And also, don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? It is free and I post multiple times a week. Also, don't forget to turn on your notifications so you know the moment that I upload a video. But if you're feeling extra about it, do consider further supporting my channel by becoming a member, checking out the affiliate links down below, checking out the merch, or using the super thanks option below my videos. Righty, let us start before the birds start their concert. We're gonna start with the beautiful Cattleya Jungle Eyes, which you might have seen a little bit in videos. I didn't make a full spotlight on it or anything because something's a bit off with it this year. Can we tell? Yes, two of the flowers are slightly mutated. Only one of the flowers looks as it should. The other two have some defects. It's not even a nice Peloria, and I'm not entirely sure why. I'm thinking maybe it's the fact that it's the first time it's blooming in this climate. It has been brought to me by my mom when she came last year, and it has bloomed nice for her all of these years. By the way, oh, the Burgeons are attacking. So this orchid is the same one that I purchased many years ago, 7, 8. It's a division of that. See, I left my mom a division when I came to Cyprus. I got myself a division here. I lost mine. Her division did so well that she brought me a division of her division. And this is it. It is actually doing well. It has put on a ton of roots and it looks nice, apart from the fact that the flowers are a little bit special. So I'm thinking it's the move and getting adjusted to this new environment, although I really don't know why it did that. And if memory serves me right, it did this in the past as well, once. Could it be some product that I use, maybe one of my fertilizers, although I'm not using anything with plant hormones? It could. I don't know. We'll see next time, but this year is a bit of a fail. One of the flowers isn't even opened properly, so yeah, that's why I didn't really show it off more. It's one of my favorite Cattleyas. It's so nice and goldeny orange. The bloom show is not great, but the orchid itself is doing very good, so at least that. We're gonna see next year what happens. Next up, the Phalaenopsis bellina. I told you in a previous video that the main plant is kind of dying off, but we have a beautiful looking keiki. And well, that keiki produced a flower. It's looking great, it smells great. The problem is the virus is back, and you can see on this leaf, can we see some chlorosis here? Yeah, I was really hoping that the virus the mother plant had didn't really pass to the keiki, but it did. So if you're not familiar with this orchid, again, it's one of those older orchids that went through a lot of the issues I dealt with, including spider mites. And spider mites carry the orchid fleck virus, which is a more unknown virus. And there are sources on the internet that mention the fact that spider mites are vectors for this particular virus. Now, it doesn't appear to be as bad as the other main two that people are worried about, the Cymbidium mosaic virus and the Oncidium ring spot virus, but it's not good. I mean, it does have a pretty bad effect on the orchid, even though I managed to keep this orchid alive again for 7, 8 years at this point. It's not a strong orchid. It's not growing as it should. And one of the side effects or visual effects of this virus is a lot of pitting and chlorosis of the leaves. And maybe in the end, this was the reason for the demise of the mother plant. It could be. And I was very happy that it was starting to look better and it started to overcome the virus. And the keiki, I thought, well, maybe it's a second chance. Maybe not. Because definitely the leaf of the keiki has those marks. And it's a shame, and yeah, I'm still going to keep this orchid, but I was really hoping that the keiki would not have these marks and it will develop to its full potential. But at this point, I don't know. And I really don't know what will happen in the end with the keiki as well. Maybe in a few years it will end up like its mother, so I'm considering a replacement for my bellina, which I didn't want to do because it's an emotional bond at this point, so many years having this orchid. But yeah, at any point it can decide it doesn't want to grow anymore. And that's one of the problems with viruses. You cannot treat them. There is no known cure for viruses. And second, they're unpredictable. You don't necessarily know how, when, how much they will affect the orchid. You just know they will affect it. I'm still gonna hang on to it, but I am looking for a replacement. In happier news, I have this Phalaenopsis orchid, which was mislabeled. I purchased it last year as a Phalaenopsis manii, but this is not what the tag says. This is what I've identified as cornu-cervi crossed with speciosa, which, you know what? I don't mind. Absolutely love this orchid. And the first thing I saw was the lip. The lip is fuzzy, and that's not a trait which is very common actually with Phalaenopsis species. There is only one, could be two, but let's just say one that is really used in hybridization, and that's the speciosa/tetraspis. And it looks identical to the pictures on the internet, so I do believe it has been mislabeled, and it's gorgeous. This dark red is absolutely fantastic. It is so dark, but vivid at the same time. It stands out. Now, you might say, but Danny, what's wrong with the leaves? Well, nothing. The leaves are normal. These are anthocyanin spots. Some people call it sun stress. I mean, whatever you want to call it. It's actually anthocyanin pigment, which develops in high light, intense light. But it doesn't have to be sun or natural light. I grow my Phalaenopsis orchids strictly, most of them, under artificial light. And ever since I purchased it, it had a lot of freckles and a lot of these anthocyanin spots. It's within the nature of the hybrid to be this way. Lots of flying around today. Oh, not there! Oh my goodness! We tried to land on an orchid. Did we fail, little bird? Yes, we failed. We failed because we tried to land on a leaf, and you're a little too heavy for a leaf. Oh, sweet bird. Sweet bird. You're getting me very distracted. You wanna go home to your wife? Okay, let's go. Where were we? I have no idea, but let's talk about the flower spikes. They are red too. They have a lot of anthocyanin pigments. And it's just a beautiful orchid overall, even with the foliage being so reddened up. The fragrance, I'll be honest, is not the greatest. It's not even there. You have to stick your nose into the flower to detect something, and it's not the most beautiful thing you've ever detected. I don't know. It's something, but it's not really nice. But it doesn't matter. Look how beautiful she is. So very lovely to see that I got a mislabeled orchid, and I got a better one than I thought I did. And since we talked about that hybrid, let's talk about the speciosa, which I believe to be a parent of that one. And if you look at the lip, you'll understand why. I'll give you close-ups. My speciosa is in full bloom. And do we notice something for those of you who know this species? All of the blooms are white. Yep, usually this orchid produces blooms that have red spots or red petals. It's a combination of red and white. Well, this year, for me, I only get white. And I was actually hoping to one day get a full red orchid. Now, I'll link you down below to a video spotlight of this orchid so you see how beautiful she is when she has red as well. I am pretty sure temperature has something to do with this. Since this is a winter bloom, maybe the lower temperatures affected it, but typically with other orchids, lower temperatures induce a redder coloration, a better red coloration. Not a lacking one, but maybe this one works differently. I don't know. Anyway, the pattern is always pretty random, but if we find a bit of a rule here with temperature, maybe if I keep this orchid in extreme heat, which it can handle, maybe I can induce some really red flowers. I don't know, we're gonna see. But I thought it was very funny that right now it looks nothing like what it kind of should look like. Is this a speciosa or a random white fowl that I bought at some point? Yeah, it's the speciosa, deciding not to be red this year. Next up, did I show you any paths recently? I didn't. I don't know why. Well, paths don't bloom all that often. They have a lot of downtime, quote unquote, let's say. So they look nice. They are doing great. I do good with paths, but there's nothing really that I can show you. And the last one that bloomed, the venustum, he was beautiful, but the flower got attacked by the thrips. so I didn't make a spotlight on it. Next time. But today I'm showing you a delenatii. This is a species that I've wanted for a million years because people say it's fragrant. When I purchased this orchid, it had a flower, but it wasn't fragrant. So maybe it had something to do with transport. Typically flowers don't really last well through transport. Maybe it was already fading. I don't know. But I'm really curious to see if this flower will be fragrant. Other than that, the orchid looks very nice. It's very crowded. It's a very crowded, compact Paphiopedilum, and it needs repotting. All of my Paphiopedilums have been in the medium for quite a lot of time. It doesn't look that bad. Actually, this one doesn't look bad at all, but I know it is time. It is time for them to get repotted, and I'm seriously considering to go for a terrestrial mix with them because the distribution of water is a little better, and I'm gonna show you the mix that I'm gonna use and talk a little bit about orchid mixes on the market. I did a short on it, but I'm gonna make a proper video on it as well. But yeah, the paths are good. They're just being in a lot of downtime. They look nice though, they just don't bloom very often. Each path takes about a year and a half or so to produce another bloom, and I have some paths which take even more than that for whatever reason. But I'm happy to see the delenatii, and I'm really curious to see if it has a fragrance. Next up, we have the wonderful Renanthera vietnamensis crossed with Neofinetia falcata. It is in bloom, and it has a wonderful peach color. This one should be named Renanthera peaches. You know how the Vanda peaches I have, it's actually coral? Yeah, this one has a beautiful, beautiful peach color, a true peach color. And it also has some dark magenta or pink accents. Do we see? They're scattered on the flower. It's really beautiful. Now here's the funny thing. Neofinetias don't do the greatest for me. They actually grow pretty well vegetatively throughout the year, but they don't really want to bloom. And I do believe it has to do with my environment. It's actually way too warm for their liking, so I've stopped getting Neofinetias. I have enough to enjoy their foliage, but more than that, I don't think I have what it takes to properly grow them and bloom them. But any hybrid with a Vanda or Renanthera or anything that is more warm growing actually works out great for me. And even if the flowers don't really look like Neofinetias, they do remind of the Neofinetia, and many of them are fragrant. This one is fragrant too. It has a beautiful, kind of sweet scent to it, so I can enjoy the scent of a Neofinetia through its hybrids. And I think that's the key to success, having hybrids of the Neofinetia with more warm growing orchids such as the Vanda and the Renanthera. Beautiful, beautiful hybrid. My Monachica is about to bloom as well, and I have another Neofinetia hybrid which is in spike. So very happy about that. But Neos for me, I think it's time to face the truth. I cannot bloom them, so I should not purchase them. Next up, here's the Cattleya I showed you before, but every time it kind of just keeps getting better and better. This is the beautiful Hoku gem. It's the only Cattleya that produces secondary spikes for me. Cattleyas are not known to do that. Some Cattleya relatives like epidendrums, they are known to produce secondary spikes, particularly after the initial flush of blooms, but no intergeneric that looks like this ever produces secondary spikes for me, except this one. And this year we have a primary spike with 4 flowers and a secondary spike with 2 flowers, and it makes for such a beautiful inflorescence. Look at that. Bonus, this is the type of orchid that changes color as the flower ages. It starts out with a more purple flower and it goes into a beautiful golden color as it ages. One of the flowers this year also has some beautiful stripe patterning on it. Now, this is not a sign of virus or anything of the sorts. It's supposed to look like that. It has to be one of my favorite Cattleyas at the moment that I have. I have a major issue with Cattleyas and thrips at the moment. Thrips don't really attack the foliage itself unless it's young, but they do love to munch on the flowers and particularly the buds. So I had a ton of Cattleyas this year. I'm looking at the Chantilly lace right now because it's the latest in a whole series of losses. Not losses, I just lost the buds. So thrips love the buds, and no matter how clean I keep them, they find those buds and I've missed flowers on so many Cattleyas, it's absurd. Cattleyas do great for me because they're hot growers, and I love them, and I have so many Cattleyas, but do you see blooms on this channel of the Cattleyas? No, you see Tolumnias more, because thrips love Cattleya buds. I'm done. So I'm starting to treat more and more and see if it makes a difference. For whatever reason, this one escaped the thrip attack. It has a few grazing marks on the stem. I caught the thrips, thankfully. But yeah, that's why you don't see Cattleya blooms on this channel recently. It's because of the thrips. Oh my goodness, they're so much worse than spider mites. They're the type of bug that make you want to quit the hobby. No joke. I'm willing to do the insecticide routine. And if I'm willing to do that, you know it's serious. Anyway, again, I'm ranting. But oh boy, I hate thrips. I do, I really do. All I can do is try to manage them, but sometimes I get overwhelmed. Let's move on to the last orchid of today, which is not a good one, but I have to update you on it. Last orchid we're looking at today, it is a very dusty, oh, I need to shower him, very dusty Psychopsis. Have you seen Psychopsis blooms recently on my channel? No. By the way, this was an old leaf of an old growth. And that's because it does not want to bloom. It has 3 flower spikes, and I can see the buds are active, they're green. They just don't want to develop. What is up with that? Because I've bloomed Psychopsis before in this climate. I have a suspicion. This guy needs a repot, and the fact that it's drying out like within a day, I think that's the problem. I just watered my orchids and I see already he's dry and the pseudobulbs are shriveled. And this is an orchid that loves water. I think that's the problem. I do try to keep up with watering, but it's not happening. Initially, I thought, well, it's the heat. I'm gonna wait for winter for it to bloom. It's not the heat, it's not the differential in temperature day and night, it's not the position. He lives in bright light, in natural light, it's not the artificial light, it's none of these things. But I think it's too thirsty and it's not getting enough water, and he decided, I'm not gonna bloom. Let's play a game. You don't water me, I don't bloom. How about that? Yeah, I think that's what he's doing. So, very soon, he will go through a repot, which I dread. Because look at this. Oh no. So, full sphagnum moss, and we'll see, maybe that will help. I'm thinking maybe a self-watering setup for him. And we'll see if that helps, because all of the buds do have green buds that are just stagnant. They're just waiting there, which is absurd. Initially it bloomed, and it bloomed every 1-2 months. You know how Psychopsis bloom? Nope, do not want to bloom. Grows vegetatively, but the new growths are tinier. Oh, now I notice them. Yep, it's a hydration issue, I'm pretty sure. So we'll see if that fixes it, but there we go. Psychopsis. No water, no blooms. Who would have thought? And that is about it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed today's update. Let me know about the Psychopsis. Did you ever have your Psychopsis just stop blooming because you weren't watering? Or were there other reasons? I'm curious to know. Until he blooms, I will distract myself with Tolumnias that are just adorable, aren't they? And I do realize I have no pink Tolumnia anymore. Nothing. A good thing I just purchased. So, alrighty guys, this has been it. I hope you'll have a great day, and I hope to see you next time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. And with that said, I'll see you all next time. Bye!